Hi, how are we doing, everybody? Welcome to Russell Heritage Golf. Today, well, we're talking about how the right elbow can improve your ball striking. Now, what am I talking about? Well, recently I stumbled across some old magazines, and in yesterday's video I was kind of looking through this magazine which dated back to the late 70s, and we stumbled across an article which was of Jack's book. And what Jack Nicklaus was saying was that basically he knew that for his swing, and although there was a lot of teaching at the time about keeping this elbow in, he knew that he played his best golf by letting the elbow fly up. The reason why this works, and that's what we're talking about today, is because the priority to strike the ball better, you have to stay, should we say, central over the ball. Okay? You're not going to become a good ball striker if you start drifting off the ball in this sort of manner. You start moving your center of mass over this right leg, means you're going to get stuck, means as you start to turn, you're going to be too upward facing, you're going to get too stuck, and you're going to get flicky at the back of the ball. So, I see a lot of golfers like this. I see a lot of amateur golfers that come for lessons and they send the swings in for the annotation, and they spend a lot of time trying to swing on plane. Now, what I mean by plane, and I talked about this on one of my playlists, which I'd suggest if you haven't seen, you have to. I created a playlist of the 5 fundamental things of the golf swing. And the second rule in there is understanding the concept of plane. Now, what this means is, as long as the shaft of the golf club is pointing down towards the ball to target line, it means effectively you're on plane. But like I said in that second rule, as long as you understand the concept of plane. So it doesn't mean you have to be perfectly on plane at every time to understand the concept of it. We see plenty of golf swings where they deviate off plane, and it means you can still come back to plane. So, what am I going on about, and how's the elbow going to help you? Well, look, a lot of golfers get very obsessed about the position and the orientation of the shaft angle. And as you can see, as I start moving this way, 2 things are happening. 1, my pelvis is drifting forward, which is problematic. And 2, from the face-on perspective, I'm starting to move my center of mass over that leg, which means I'm going to get stuck, like I alluded to earlier. Now, in the past on the channel, I've already talked about external rotation of the arm. And a lot of people struggle with this sort of movement and haven't got a great range of motion. So if you're struggling just to get your arm into this sort of position anyway, well, if you take your posture, that is pretty much going to be the position of your forearm relative to your spine. It's unlikely that you're going to possess the range to go any deeper than that. So my point is that if that's your posture, and when you turn back, the likelihood is that your arm is going to want to operate in this sort of fashion anyway. And this is fine. And that's my point. That's why I'm kind of making this point from what Jack said. And that's what we're going to do this week, is take some great little tips and snippets that I can find in these magazines from the greats. And I think this is a really good one, because your priority is to stay central over the ball. Your priority is not to necessarily swing the club perfectly on plane, especially if it messes up the functionality in terms of how you move. So, if you don't like the idea of letting the elbow pop up, then the point is that to stay central, you need to introduce like a lateral bend. So the feeling would be that you'd feel the rib cage on the right-hand side for our right-handed golfers rising up. And then you'd feel it down your obliques down this side. From the face-on perspective, that means that you'll have the ability to kind of stay central and introduce an element of thoracic extension, which means you'll be able to pick the club up as opposed to being in a state like so. So, is it okay for the elbow to fly out? 100%, absolutely fine. Because your elbow flies out, doesn't mean you're going to swing over the top. No, right? Not at all. The elbow can go back in on the way down. And also, a lot of golfers that send the swings in for the kind of annotations, which you can, in the description box below, go onto the website and you'll see how to send the swings in. They get very concerned about the shaft being, should we say, across the line. But it's like, it doesn't matter. Even if the shaft is over here, like we can see on the picture on Jack now, the shaft is still pointing down towards the target line. So in theory, it's still on plane anyway. So it really doesn't matter. So how are you going to improve your ball striking, and how does the elbow help? Well, to be able to improve your ball striking, you need to find a way to stay central. And for most golfers, especially those that are physically a little bit limited, if you're trying to keep this elbow in and keep your arm close to your body, the likelihood is that it's going to cause an upset in how you move. So I would suggest find a way to stay central. If that means your elbow has to pop up, then so be it. It's really not a problem. And it doesn't mean, like I think a lot of people put one and one together, that you're going to come over the top. It's just not true. The great exercise is a split handle exercise, which I've done before on the channel. Hands about shoulder width apart, left hand downward facing, right hand upward facing, or lead and trail hand, and just pick that club up. And you'll find that your trail hand is the hand that actually helps elevate the club in the air. And then if you put those back together, that will give you the sort of position that you would want to be at the top of the backswing. So you want to start striking it better. You need to stay centered. If you're afraid of swinging across the line or you're afraid of the elbow flying out, that's why I take a big tip from Big Jack and stop worrying about it and just start striking the ball a little bit better. So hopefully you enjoyed the video, right? Hopefully you're enjoying the channel as well. We're going to be talking about some tips of some of the greats this week and going back through that magazine, and we're tying it up to those 5 principles. So like I said, if the elbow flies up and the shaft's more vertical, it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that you can't come down on plane on the way down. And as long as you understand the concept of plane, then you're going to be absolutely fine. You've got to do what's right for you. And if you're not striking it, the likelihood is that there's a very good chance, because I see it a lot, that you're kind of drifting around or moving around. Let that elbow pop up. Try the split handle exercise. You'll be surprised by the results. You know what to do. Always appreciate one of those. Press the subscribe button. Press the little bell icon as well. And then basically, if you want to send some swings into the channel, in the description box below, you'll see the website where you can get links as to how to do it. I'll catch up with you guys again soon.